Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Society of the Eternal Mile podcast. I'm your host, Noah Sias. On today's episode, we're joined by guitarist DeAndre Tyre. You may know of his work from the band Wake In Providence. Follow the show on social media at SOTEM Podcast. Subscribe in your platform of choice. Leave a rating or write in if you feel so inclined. And lastly, don't forget about Patreon at patreon.com/SOTEM Podcast. Warped Tour lineup has finally been announced. Pretty mixed feelings on the lineup and some strange choices, including a few fan favorites only being on for a handful of dates. In my personal opinion, seems like a fairly lackluster lineup to send the festival off with. What are your thoughts on the Warped Tour lineup? Write in on Facebook or tweet out on Twitter at SOTEM Podcast for both, and I'll read some of the responses on next week's episode. On to today's episode. My first interaction with DeAndre was in 2017 on the Are You Afraid of the Gent Tour Part 1 with Bermuda, Wake In Providence, and Fallen Captive. Wake In Providence was on for the first half of the run, and we had a blast with those guys. Very approachable and funny dudes. DeAndre and I talked a lot of shop on that run, including some tech stuff and gear. And actually, DeAndre played a song with us on the last day of the run for them too, which was an interesting experience playing with a second guitarist, but he killed it. Haven't shared the stage with him since and haven't had much for contact since then. For the amount of time we talked on the road, I didn't have much of an opportunity to hear his history, so as usual, I thought that this would be a great way to find out more. Here's my conversation with DeAndre Tyre. DeAndre, welcome to the show.
What's going on, man? Thank you for having me.
When did you first get involved with music?
Okay, so that I tend to like, I love and hate that question, because there's two answers. First is I became a musician very late in my life, so I was always kind of just around music and just like everybody's always around music in some shape or form. But my grandmother, before she passed, and my mother were very, like, my grandmother more than my mother, of course, but were very, very into music, in the sense that there was always music playing in some form, in some fashion. So I knew that in both households, because my grandmother, if I stayed with my grandmother for a couple of days or if I was at home, as soon as I heard like loud music playing, I knew it was time to clean. So that was like, for when I was younger, I hated hearing it because I knew that it meant it was time to do chores. So
Sure.
it was always like oldies and Motown and stuff like that. So that's kind of more of what I grew up listening to from as a kid. And then once I got more into just kind of going out, buying my own cassettes and own CDs and stuff, which is wild to say now, but it was a lot of hip hop stuff. So that's the first answer. The second answer in regards to me kind of transitioning into more of a I guess you could say music appreciation, and then becoming a musician. That started in like the 8th grade. So I was I'm always younger than everybody because my birthday's so late. So I don't particularly know what the appropriate age for 8th grade is. I think it's like 12ish or 13 or something like that.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
If it's 13, I was 12 because I'm always
okay.
When I tell you I'm at the very cusp of the end of the year. It's December 29th, so I'm like right there. That started in 8th grade because I had two friends that were into rock where I was not. I was not even in the slightest into rock. I grew up in Brooklyn, so they got me into a lot of people's gateway band, which is Linkin Park. One of them was like, "You got to check out Hybrid Theory." They let me borrow the CD and. No, it was Meteora. I think it was Meteora at the time. I don't remember. It was either Hybrid or Meteora. I can't remember. It was definitely one of those records, and I was hooked. That was it. It was the perfect blend of a few things that I liked, because I was still into hip hop, and I remember hearing a few times when I was younger. I can't remember what it was called back then, but it's kind of like what today, I think today is called like music choice. Like they have like, you put it on in the background on TV and it just plays a bunch of random songs.
Yeah. Okay, I get you.
My aunt used to do that when I would stay at her house like really early in the morning, and every now and then, randomly, "Here to Stay" by Korn would be playing. So I would hear that like maybe once a month. That song would play on like that music choice thing. But so that I didn't understand it back then, but I liked it. So then I got introduced into Linkin Park in the 8th grade and such, and then that spiraled out of control when I moved to Staten Island, which is where I live now. Still in the 8th grade, a para, like a teacher assistant kind of student watcher person, I don't know. He heard me listening to Linkin Park on my pillbox iPod Shuffle. So I had the first iPod Shuffle that only held like 10 songs. And I was stoked on it. And he heard it because that was the old Apple headphones, so they were blaring outwards instead of inwards. And he was like, "Oh, what you listening to?" I was like, "Oh, at this time now, it was definitely Meteora." And he was like, "Sick, have you ever listened to Metallica?" And I was like, "No, never." He was like, "All right, I got you tomorrow." I was like, "All right, cool." Come in the next day, he burns me a CD. It just says Metallica on it. And he's like, "This is the Black Album." And I was like, "Okay." Go home, pop that into my computer, put it on my iPod. And when I tell you that was it, I was fucking done, dude. Done. Changed the world. That record to me is so unreal. I loved it. I loved every second of it. And then that was during the LimeWire days, so I just down the rabbit hole. And that, dude, when I tell you, like, LimeWire and an old friend of mine are the really main reasons why I'm into so many different types of music. Metallica's Black Album is what got me into like heavier stuff. The Ride the Lightning solo. At that point, I already started playing guitar, but I'll backtrack a little bit in a sec. The Ride the Lightning solo changed my life as a whole, like completely as a whole. But I know I'm jumping around a little. Back in the lineage, after listening to Metallica, again back to like the whole music choice thing, I ended up finding System of a Down. Hypnotize was the first System of a Down song I ever heard. And my mother actually really liked the song. She loved it. And my mother's not a fan of like metal and rock, not really. She can appreciate the talent behind it now because she sees the work that goes into it because of me. She can now appreciate it. She still's not like a huge, like she won't go out of her way and listen to it, but she can at least appreciate it now. So that song she really liked, and I badgered her at the time to buy me a guitar because me and my friends who got me into Linkin Park wanted to start a band even though we lived in Staten Island in Brooklyn. We wanted to do that. So I was like, I'll learn bass, but found out my school didn't have like a bass class. So I knew that they had guitar, so I was like, I'll learn how to play guitar. Never ended up going to never got guitar class, so I ended up just not using that out. But I badgered her to buy me a guitar. She finally bought me a guitar under one stipulation, and that stipulation was to learn how to play Hypnotize. So I was like, challenge accepted.
Yeah, that's sick.
Fast forward like 5 or 6 years, it took me to finally learn how to play that song properly. But that's kind of how that's even though it was a slightly long story, that's the shortened version of how I kind of got into playing and just music in general.
What was it like growing up in one of the strongest markets for music in the Northeast, since it's got a huge reputation for being like awesome every time?
Touring as much as I have, even though I haven't toured like a whole lot, like still the tours that I've done, like when I kind of like compile it over time, it's been like a while. We've gone to a bunch of places that I personally thought I would never go, and play, let alone to play music, which to this day kind of freaks me out. To think that we drove 20 some odd hours to go play in Texas is, mind blowing. I've never been to Texas before, and I just show up in Texas like, all right, sick, let's play some music. Seeing the scene in those other places, and just kind of how those people react to metal and react to the music in general is so wildly different than home. Where we'll get used to playing here, and then we'll go out and play somewhere else, and it's just like, damn, this is so weird, so different. And then bands who aren't from here, they come out here, they come out to the Northeast, and they play here, and they're like, yo, there's no place like this. You know, like the New York scene, the Mass scene, like it's so fucking crazy, so intense. Like a lot of it, just like, I guess the only word to really use is violent, like, because it is very. You played up here. It's fucking nuts up here, dude. It's so violent. And then, like, to go to other places and see their version of that, it's like I hate to be that guy, but like being from New York, and anybody from like the New York and the Northeast scene, they'll see that and they'll just be like, yeah, I mean, like, it's all right, you know. Anywhere you go, anywhere people who are enjoying the music, that's all I really give a fuck about. Like, I can't stand. The only thing about the New York scene that kills me is you'll see, like, and I don't, honestly, it's not even the New York scene. It's pretty much anywhere. It's like every now and then you'll have like the tough guy group in the back, and they just kind of stand there, arms crossed, like they low key, even if they don't like it, or they low key are liking it, they just don't want to show that they like it. And it's just like, come on, dude, just enjoy the music for what it is.
So how about some of your early bands?
Oof. I think in total, including Wake In Providence, I've been in a total of it's either 11 or 12 bands. Maybe 4 or 5 of them actually did anything. First band I was ever in that actually played shows was a band that I started with a friend of mine out of high school. In high school, and we weren't really doing it. It was just me and him. Like, I had like this little weird digital recorder that like it was a camcorder of a camera, a digital recorder, and it did something else. It's just like this all in one little thing. And I used to take that to his house, and I set up my little Raven combo amp with my Ibanez SA120, and I would just be randomly riffing, just playing God knows what, and he would be singing and screaming over it. It was just me and him, and that was our band. And finally, it was like, yo, we need to find members, and it's like, then we found a friend of mine at the time who was named Terry, who's now Sam. Like, this is the awkward part. He currently, back then, she played drums for us at the time for a very short time, until me and her kind of noticed this isn't working. We need to do something different. And then that turned into me and Terry starting a band, which was to be my actual first band, where she ended up playing guitar because she was an awesome guitar player and an awesome drummer. She ended up converting to guitar. I continued playing guitar, but I also did vocals. So I did the singing and I did the screaming and some singing. She did the majority of the singing. We got another friend of ours at the time, also named Antoinette, now Adam. At the time, she played drums, and then we got a friend of ours by the name of I think his name was Ben. Yeah, we had Ben play bass, and then he ended up quitting or something. I forgot what happened to him. And then we got this kid Gus to play. So at that time, that was the lineup. We were called Kill Driver. We got into some MySpace beef. That's showing my age. We got into some MySpace beef with another band called Kill Driver. So we were like, you 40-year-old dudes, whatever. You guys want the name, keep it. We're going to just go with Kill Driver with a 3 instead of an E. So we were like, fuck you, Kill Driver with a 3, bitch. And that was it, you know. So we were playing shows, which was great. First show I ever, this was awkward as hell. First show I ever played in my entire life was in a church. Mind you, I didn't process I was in a church until I was there. I was wearing a Children of Bodom t-shirt that had a Grim Reaper in all Children of Bodom fashion, with like holding a scythe in one hand and like a chain that was around the neck of 2 like fucking demon dogs with like an arm in one mouth, and the other one had like an ear or something in the other mouth. There's blood everywhere on the shirt. And like right before we went on, it was like, all right, everybody, God bless. And then we get on stage, and I'm like, hey, we're Kill Driver. And then I'm screaming and singing and shit. And then fucking, I wish I still had the video. I don't have it anymore. Right behind me is a giant crucifix. And it was the most awkward shit ever, dude. It was so weird. That was my first band. Fast forward, joined another band that was really big out here called Impartial Dismemberment. They were a really big deathcore band out of the New York City scene. Then they broke up, went on a hiatus. They came back. Then they broke up again. Oh no, they came back after the hiatus. The guitar player left. I ended up taking his spot. We played a couple of shows. You know, we were moving forward. Then that band kind of like just fizzled. It didn't really break up. We kind of just fizzled out. And then that's when I started. That's when I started working on Wake In Providence. Which this is a funny story because a lot of people don't know about. Wake In Providence was initially intended to be like a metalcore band, like Asking Alexandria. That was the intention at first. Then I got heavy into August Burns Red. So I was like, okay, I want to meld August Burns Red with Asking Alexandria, and boom, best band ever. That was at the time. I was like, that's gonna be amazing. Side note, I worked at Hot Topic at this point too, so that's where that Asking Alexandria influence comes from. So then I was reaching out trying to find members, and then I found I worked with this kid who was doing vocals, and I had him like do scream over a track, and I loved it. I thought it was dope. Then Chris started working. Our previous vocalist, Chris, started working at Hot Topic. He was like, "Oh yeah, I know how to play keyboard." I was like, "Sick! I need a keyboard player for this band because that's fucking like metalcore. We need synth, duh." So then I'm talking to him further, and then it turned that he was like, "Yeah, but I really want to get into doing vocals." I was like, "All right, cool. So we'll try that." And if that doesn't work out, we just play keyboard. He was like, "All right, sick." So he came over, he like screamed over a track, and I was like, "All right, this is cool." And then I showed one of my friends who was a very impartial person in this circumstance, and he actually ended up choosing Chris. Where for me, I chose my other friend, but I didn't say anything. So I was like, "All right, outside opinion, I'm going to go with that." So then I went with Chris, and we moved forward. We ended up getting our bass player, which was a kid that Chris knew, and then our drummer. Our first drummer ever was this kid named John. Found him on Craigslist. I found him on Craigslist. Chris also got in contact with him somehow. I don't remember how. He came, jammed with us. We were like, all right, sick. We like it. And then he ended up kind of quitting before he was like, I can't do it. We were like, shit, all right. We found I got the old drummer of Impartial to end up playing with us for a while. That dude was an animal. And then he had to leave for personal reasons. And then we got the kid John back. And then that's kind of how Wake In Providence got built. But musical direction was interesting because we were, like I said, intended to be a metalcore band. Then, I don't know if you remember if you ever got into the band, but Upon and Burning Bodies' first album came out. The World Is Yours, or The World Is Ours, I forgot. I think it was The World Is Ours.
Like that, yeah.
And Chris got so heavily into that record because we were both into metalcore at the time. We loved Miss May I's first record. We loved Asking Alexandria's records, August Burns Red, all that stuff. We were super heavy into those bands. Then he got really heavy. I showed him the Upon a Burning Body record, and he got real heavy into that album. So then once he got into that, that's when it was like, all right, we got to play deathcore. That's it. This is the new wave. And we're like, all right, fine. So then we did our demo, and then the rest is history from there, other than our deciding of a hysterical band name. Because we were supposed to be Arsonists Shouldn't Play With Matches. That was the original decided on band name.
Interesting. Were you like trying to do a nod to Arsonists Get All the Girls?
No, actually, I didn't know that band existed.
Okay.
Chris came up with that name, and I was like, "Yo, that's sick!" You know, fucking young metalcore mind. I was like, "Dude, that's exactly, it's perfect." And then it was just like, and then I think it was like his girlfriend at the time, or somebody I knew, or somebody on the outside heard the name and was like, "Oh, like Arsonists Get All the Girls." And we were like, "Fuck." And that was it. So that died out. So we had to come up with something else.
Sure.
Then Wake In Providence kind of just dropped in our lap, so we kind of just ran with that.
All right, so Wake In Providence has 3 releases. You have 2012 Serpents, 2015's Insidious, and 2017's Insidious Phase 2, which is just a re-release, correct? With like a couple more tracks?
Kinda. We have a demo that's not really known about that came out before Serpents, which we only pressed 50 of those. Or 25. I remember we only pressed like 25 or 50 of them. but they were all hand pressed with fucking like I say hand pressed, but what I mean by that is we just use like one of our computers to fucking just burn it.
Right.
We found the jewel case. Oh no, we didn't use jewel cases for that. The jewel cases were for serpents. The demo we put, it just literally says ARIP demo on it, on like a fucking regular DVD-R in a little sleeve, and we just gave them out at shows. And I saw one for the first time maybe like a year ago, and it blew my fucking mind. I wanted it so bad, but the person was like, "I'm not letting this go." I can't believe you care about it that much. I don't care about it enough to buy it, but I can't believe you care about it that much. But yeah, so yeah, we had that. So we have Serpents, Insidious, and Insidious Phase 2. Insidious Phase 2 actually is a fully re-recorded version of Insidious with 2 tracks on it. I've said this in like written interviews about Insidious Phase 2. And I'm going to say this like openly, and I've said this to a lot of people. I hate Insidious. It's probably one of my least favorite things I've written. Other than the song Insidious, I love that song. I really do. That's musically, that is. Like I really just don't like that EP. I never really did. But I have to say, going back and kind of reworking it a little bit, because if you listen to each song side by side, musically, they're slightly different. So the tuning is the same. Every tempo is the same. All that stuff. The few differences that we did live drums on it, which was not really a thing for us for a few different reasons. We did live drums on it. I tracked all the guitars and bass. Did I track bass actually? I don't remember if I tracked bass or if I MIDI or if I wrote it out. I can't remember. I think I tracked it. I either wrote the MIDI or tracked the bass. I can't remember. This is neither here nor there. Tracked live drums, did the guitars and bass myself. Will did vocals. I also added clean vocals to one of the songs because that's something that I've been kind of like sprinkling into our music recently. And then we added Psycho, which that is a big thing for me personally because Psycho was the first song I wrote on 8 strings, and it was, if you go and watch the original lyric video for it, in midway through the video, I think it has like the picture of Christian Bale from Psycho, from American Psycho, and underneath that it says Wake In Providence new single Psycho off the upcoming EP Insidious. It never ended up on the EP, and that pissed me off because for me it felt like it needed to be there. It was supposed to be there, but the time gap didn't allow it to be there. For me personally, I feel like the best way to put both that era of the band to bed properly, that has to be where it belonged. So that was like an emotional decision for me. And then the new song, and I quote that, the new song Of Hell, the one that has Darius from Spite on it, that song is actually a track that was intended to be on Insidious that got lost in the email ether, and we never revisited it. Forgot about it completely. I never finished it. And then I was going through Pro Tools sessions. I was going through my email, just kind of finding tracks and stuff like that. And I was like, yo, this is dope. And I was like, I gotta use this somewhere. And then like we decided to do the Insidious re-release. I was like, fuck it, let's just throw like a new song on there, or a song that is new to the fans but old to us. So that's why it's slightly different than the Insidious vibe, because that's part of the reason probably why I didn't make it there. I don't really know at this point, because that was fucking 4 years ago, I think. At this point, that wasn't like a decision of it not ending up there, but I was like, you know what? Let's just do something different. Let's throw something else out there instead of just doing a full just re-release of the same old stuff. It was like throw at least one new thing on there. That was like the idea with that. But yeah, it was an idea that we got from our fans too, because a lot of people were like, oh, it would be sick to have Will on this song. Oh, it'd be so sick to do Will. And we're like, yo, fuck it, let's just do it as a joke. And then the label got wind and they liked the idea, so we were like, all right, let's just do it for real then. So we did it for real.
And how was the response to I guess both the OG and Phase 2?
It's weird. It's very weird because there's 2 camps to the band, or to our fans, I should say. Technically there's 3, but I'll say there's 2. There's fans that are very big they're very big on the Chris era of the band, and then there's fans who are big on the Will era of the band, for both vocally and musically. So you'll see in our comments on YouTube and Facebook, you'll see there's two sides. There's some people who are like, Chris was so much better than Will. Will sucks. And we're like, all right. And then you'll see people who's like, Will shuts down Chris. Chris sucks. And we're like, all right, whatever. Whatever, you have your opinion. Then you have the people who talk mainly about the music, and they're like, well, I hated the Insidious era. I liked A Dark and Gospel and Iconoclast because those were way different. And they're like, why'd you guys go back to this? So I did a few interviews and I explained the same thing. I was like, this was pretty much something from the Insidious part. The Psycho part of it was an emotional decision for me. But us doing that was almost like fan service to people who wanted it. Because you have the original Insidious. It's not going anywhere. We had the option to take it down, and I said no, because I know people like that version, and I have absolutely no problem with that. The newer one is for people who want to hear the new one, so you have both options. As far as there being a musical direction difference, no, it's not. It's the same shit because it's just a re-recording.
Right.
So it wasn't. Some people saw it as, oh, they're going back to Beatdown. It's like, no, we're not. We literally just took something we did already and just put it out again, That was it. Wasn't a hey, this is what's happening now, But that was really what that was. And then we have the people who are one of the comments I'll literally quote was, when did everybody become an audio engineer? Just listen to the fucking music.
Perfect.
Yeah, because some people don't like the mix on the new version of Insidious. They keep going back and saying, "Oh, the Iconoclast, not Iconoclast, A Dark and Gospel mix was awesome. It was so good. This sounds like there's a what was it? Some people are like, oh, it sounds like there's a high pass filter on it, or there's a cut around 200." I'm like, and then some dude was literally like, when did everybody become a fucking audio engineer? Just enjoy the music.
It's literally just like, shut the hell up and just listen. Who wants to enjoy music that way?
Yeah, it's honestly, at this point, no one in their fucking right mind just kind of just deals with things the way that it is. Everybody just wants to judge whatever's going on. I'm trying to see if I can pull it up. Yeah, like one of those, the music itself is pretty good, but the mix is awful. And I love those because then it just keeps people just talking about production quality. It's hysterical. So like another one here is like, honestly, dude, I live to read bad comments. Because for a while, and funny enough, the one bad comment I wanted and we haven't gotten, and it trips me out. No one talks shit about the fact that we have clean vocals. Nobody.
Really?
That's what I expected. I was like, dude, when I was in the studio, when I was writing Iconoclast, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. This has such a core vibe. I'm gonna do clean vocals on it. So yeah, they're like yelly, they're pitched yells, but from what we normally do, they're clean vocals. And I was like, yo, we're gonna get so much shit for this. I'm like, amped. I'm so hyped to see that. Literally 0. And then I did it again on A Dark and Gospel, and still 0. I'm like, how do people not hate this? I thought people were gonna hate this. I was like, fuck, I'll keep doing it. But this is again another one here. It's like back to down tempo days. Period. Awful mix, comma, boring music. Period. Rest in peace, Wake In Providence. And I was just like, yes, keep the hate flowing. Let the hate flow through you.
So, any plans for you guys this year?
Yeah. So there's a lot going on right now with our stuff. We're working on some new stuff. And then unfortunately we had 2 member changes, which sucks right now. Our vocalist and our drummer quit. So there's a little bit of we're in like a nexus right now trying to get stuff together because it happened at the worst point. Because we were right before it happened, we were putting the final touches on a lot of stuff. And I mean, like at this point, it's whatever to talk about it. We were putting the final touches on our full length.
Gotcha.
So we were working on the record. It was done. Record's finished, but we had to put everything on hold because of that. So now at this point, we're working on kind of putting the band back together, making sure everything is good, and then we're going to take care of the record from there. So new music this year. Probably going to have to rework a bunch of tour stuff now because of that. So it's just at this point where we have a lot ready to go. We just have to rework stuff now. That's the only thing.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's really the only thing.
So let's switch it over to some gear talk.
Oh, yes. Let's do it.
Do you have any endorsements?
Yes. Currently endorsed with Orange, which is sick. They actually were nice enough to send me a cab cover because I needed one. I already had my orange cab for a while, but I never bought the cab cover ever. I don't know why. It was just never. It was something I was like. It was one of those kind of things, and I'm sure you have something like that too, where you're always like, "I'll get it next week. I'll get it next week. I'll get it," and that just goes on for years. So then one day I looked at my cab, and our newer guitar player, he has the cab cover. He has the V30 version of my cabinet. And I was looking at his, and his just looks so fresh, and he has the cab cover. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? I look at mine looks just destroyed, and I'm just like. I'm so sad about it because I was like, that was one of my first like full purchases of gear from my own pocket, and
Right.
and it was an expensive one too. Because this cab's this is $1,100 cab. I was like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I treated this thing like shit, but then I'm like, oh, it lived in trailers, it lived in practice spaces, it lived in this house, that house. It's seen its fair share of the road, so it looks the way it should. Luckily. There's nothing on the Tolex. Nothing on the grill, because that's a big pet peeve of mine. I can't stand seeing grills with holes in them and fucked up grills. If my orange grill gets fucked up, I'm gonna buy a new cab immediately, because I just hate the way it looks. But my grill still looks great, but the cabinet, the Tolex, is just fucked. So I was like, I need to get one of these fucking covers. So I hit up our guy Nikhil, who is amazing over at Outerloop. And I was like, hey, man, can you get in contact with the Orange guys? I need a cab cover, like, bad. So just let me know how much it is. I'll throw over my credit card to you, and then you just, place the order. And he's like, all right, cool. A couple of days go by, and then he shoots me an email. He was like, yo, cab cover's on its way. Here's the tracking number. Just promote. I was like, oh, shit, sick. So it's just like, dude. So they sent it over to me free of cost, which was awesome. So that's a huge plus for me right now. So that's one endorsement we got. Currently working with DR Strings, which is sick. Our guy over there, Tony, he's the fucking man, dude. Anytime I hit him up, he's on it immediately. Fast stuff, and like they take care of us really, really well, which is great. So I'm in no need of strings, which is awesome. Currently hooked up with Blackcraft as well, so they make us look good, which is sick. What else? We got Blackcraft, we got Orange, we got DR. Currently working on some guitar stuff right now. Trying to get some guitar companies hooked up in there. Both me and our other guitar player Jordan, we have very similar setups because we both run Fractal and power amps. So we both run Mesa power amps and the Fractal I was about to say Fractal PAs. I don't know what the fuck I'm thinking. Fractal Axe Effects. So I mean, I shot it out there to our guy Nikhil. I was like, hey, I guess see if we could talk to Fractal and Mesa. We'll see. I don't fucking know. If we don't, whatever. I mean, like, we have the gear, so it's not like we're trying to get the gear. You know what I mean? So it's just like trying to have that extra backing is great. So that's something that we're working on. So we're working on guitars and I guess amps, even though we use the digital route with two power amps and stuff. So that's what the current situation is looking like. And I want to say that's it for endorsements.
You kind of mentioned already with Axe Effects, but I'll go ahead and ask a question anyway. What's your signal chain looking like?
Okay, I guess for all of the current live stuff, I'm running my Ibanez 8-string. I have a Iron Label 628. I think that's what the model is on that one. It's the Babinga top. I think it's Babinga top with a mahogany body, ebony board, and like maple and walnut neck or something like that. I fucking love that. It's the guitar that I had with the run that we did. I love that guitar. That's going into my Line 6 G55 Relay G55. That then is going into my Korg Pitch Black tuner, which I honestly forget I even have because it's almost never fucking plugged in. That's coming out, going into my Axe Effects 2, the Mark 1 Axe Effects 2. That's coming out, going into my Mesa 5052 power amp, and then that's coming out, going to my Orange high-powered 412, which they don't make anymore, which makes me sad because I fucking love that cab. It's just for me, for what I want and the sound that I like. It kills the V30 version, like kills it. It's slightly larger, just a little bit, like maybe like I think like an inch on all four sides. It's just an inch larger, not like an inch on two sides and like a half inch on two sides. It's not really that much bigger. I think it's thicker than the V30 version because it's intended to handle lower tuning better and resonate better than the smaller one. So that one has GK12 100s in it, or GK12 100s, which are each 100-watt speakers. So the cab is 400 watts.
Gotcha.
Versus their regular version, which is, I think the V30s are 75 watts each, so it's like 280. So mine is 8 and 16. That one is 16 only, I believe. So yeah, they for some reason they discontinued mine, which sucks. So I'm gonna try my best to kind of keep that thing in the best condition possible. But I think last I spoke to the guys at Orange, they said they had one left. So I was like, if I ever come into some extra money and they still have it, I'm buying it immediately. So I have two of them. I don't give a fuck. Like, I was like, dude, I want that cab. It's sick. Fractal MFC 101, the Mark 1 of that, the footboard for the Fractal. That thing is essential until I get a MacBook, because I have my iMac, but I can't bring that on tour. So,
funny enough, we've totally had like a local opener. Drummer's got the iMac in the back.
Dude, come on! You're not between the bear to me. Stop it! Stop it! You bring a whole iMac on tour. That is insane. Like, whatever. My dream setup is exactly my current setup. I just want to take out the footboard and just have a MacBook running Pro Tools, just doing my patch changing for me. Just because I mean, like, I got the Fractal to get away from pedals, and then I got the MFC to kind of do the job of pedals, just simpler, which it does, and I love it for that. I want it even simpler because I don't like being stuck to one side of the stage or just being stuck in one spot in general. So we don't do many patch changing as it is because of the way that I set up our backtracks, but like the ones that we do, I just kind of wish I didn't have to do it. I wish I could just keep playing and it just does it for me. So I was like, once I get my new MacBook, I'm just going to set that up and just be done with it because I don't want to deal with that anymore. So just have the fucking fractals just kind of use to have the Axe effects doing what it can do.
Opinion question. What's something that you see young or inexperienced players doing with their rigs that drives you nuts?
Buying shitty rigs. That's just it. I tell every band, because of me being an audio engineer, I come into contact with a lot of bands, like small and like bigger, less experienced versus experienced. I guess that's the best way to put it. And my advice to a lot of the bands who are less experienced is spend the money where it matters. So spend the money on your gear, spend the money on recordings, because those are the two things that people judge you on. I am guilty of it, and it makes me sound like a terrible person. But when I go to a show and I and I open a door to wherever, I open the door to the venue and a band's playing, even if they're not playing yet, if I see a kid turn around with like a Schecter and a Line 6 Spire 3 fucking combo, I'm walking right the fuck back out. You know, like, nah, dude. Because I already know what that thing's going to sound like, because it's not going to sound good. You know?
Amplified motocross. And it's funny, the episode before yours, we literally just talked about this.
It's terrible because, like, I get it, you know, it's a matter of affording it, you know, because it's not fucking cheap, dude. Like, I can literally say my Axe Effects is secondhand, my fucking, my power amp is like fifth hand, like, my guitar is the only thing, I think the guitars I currently have are the only thing I bought new. No, that's a lie. I bought my cab new, I bought my, what the fuck is this thing called? My wireless, I bought that new, my rack case is secondhand. But all the stuff I bought new, I did payment plans because I don't got that kind of money. Fuck that. Plus, the only reason why I was even able to buy the Axe Effects is because I sold my 5150 and I sold some. No, I didn't. I sold something. I remember what I did. I sold like a bunch of shit, and I bought Josh's old Axe Effects because he bought an XL Plus. I bought his Ultra Then I sold the Ultra and I sold the Ultra and my 5150, and I bought the 2. So like, and I got when I talk about a sick deal and a half on it, I got the 2 and the MFC for $2,000 flat. So I was like, yeah, I'll take it. Shipped from Canada, $2,000 flat.
Damn.
So I was like, yeah, I'll take it for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, my guitars, I that's all fucking. All the guitar stuff is new, but that's payment plans like a motherfucker. Like I just bought this bad boy. I'll show you real quick. I know the listeners can't see, but I'll show you.
Right.
First, Prestige model Ibanez.
Nice.
Yeah, so I got this guy. The what is this? The RG. That's not the model number. I think they took it off the headstock. It's weird. RG something. I don't remember what the model is, but this thing is sick. This is my first Prestige I've ever owned. Only thing about it that I'm getting used to is the shorter scale. That's it. Because this is 25.5. We're moving back to 7 strings, so I picked that up. But I'm gonna use the fractal to tune down anyway, so it's whatever. But I grabbed that. So depending on what happens in the next coming months with one of the companies we're talking to, will determine whether or not I buy my other Ibanez that I want, that I have to wait till March for anyway, or if I go with that company. That's currently the what's going on now. So this guy is intended to be a at-home guitar and a backup on tour, depending on, again, what happens with one of the companies we're in talks with.
All right, so let's have a discussion about the Eternal Mile. When was your first tour, and what was the lineup?
First tour ever was the first tour where we played out of state further than Jersey, which is right across the fucking. I could look at Jersey from my window. First tour we ever played that was further than Jersey was we did something called. This is when tours had cheesy names, and it was what's called the Wall Tour, and it was a play on the word Walter from Breaking Bad. So the flyer was our band, which is Wake In Providence, and our friend's band, Heroes. And it was a picture of Walter White in the background, and or it was like, you don't mess with Walter or some shit like that. I forgot what it was. It was something like that. And it was just that. That was the first thing. It was 3 days. It was a little weekender. We went down. We played, I think, like PA, Virginia, came back up. That was it, But the first longer tour we ever did was 2 weeks. We did the whole East Coast. We went up, started in Niagara, and came all the way down to Florida. Played up from Florida all the way up to back up home. One of the best shows I ever played in my entire fucking life. One of the best venues I've ever been to in my entire life was in Atlanta. It was called The Seven. The venue itself wasn't, but the guy who ran it was very Christian. Very Christian. But he was the type of Christian that I have absolutely no issue with. And that's the type of person who is thoroughly in it to help people, not to help themselves, and not to get anything back. Solely about helping, and not because he was trying to convert people and make everything into God. Just he was inherently a good person that just so happened to be a Christian, and everything that dude did was for someone else. So he had food for the bands that was all either catered or made by him and the rest of the people. You could stay there like beforehand or after, it didn't matter. So the food that he had for the bands was, everybody else had to pay for it, but it was super cheap, super cheap. Like a slice of pizza was $1. A cup of juice was 50 cents. Like, he wasn't trying to make money. He was like, I don't care about making money. If I can make back what I put in, whatever. If not, whatever. I don't care. Then once all that food was done, then he went outside with a gigantic grill and made free grilled cheese sandwiches for anyone and everybody. So if you were walking down the street and were hungry, he would give you a grilled cheese sandwich. If you were in the venue and you had no money, he would tell you, hang out for a little bit. We're going to do free grilled cheeses in a little bit. If you were there, you already had money, you spent all your money, anything. It didn't fucking matter. You want to fucking, this dude had a stack of bread that was so fucking high, dude. It was stupid. And he was just whipping up sandwiches for anybody, solely just because he wanted to help. That stuck with me. The venue was sick. That show was cool. We played that show. We played Fit for an Autopsy. Played that show. And that was on our tour. It was awesome. But we weren't on tour with them. They weren't on tour with us. They just happened to be playing. They were on tour with a different band who I can't remember. Oh, Legion. They were on tour with Legion. But they played that show. So there was like 3 stages. It was like this little skate park where we played, a theater stage, and then they had this gigantic stage which had like a chariot, the chariot flag in it, because that venue is like known. Like the chariot. If you speak to anyone from the chariot, ask them about the 7. That was like their home. So they're really big there. But that probably was one of the best shows I've ever played in my life. It was just such a good vibe in the place, and I never had fried pizza before until that day.
Nice.
Never did, never have ever again. And that was yeah, it was, dude. That was the shit. It was awesome. That was just it was such a great day, and that stuck with me forever. But that tour was also with Heroes because they were our hometown homies. Because we grew up the same way our other bands did, that were from our area. So there was always these 2 types of bands. So there was Impartial Dismemberment before I was in the band. They were the deathcore band. Then there was He Among Us, which was they were more like a heavy metalcore kind of thing, almost like I can't even really kind of give you an example, but like they were like the heavy metalcore band. Then when we came up, we were the deathcore band, so we were Wake In Providence, the deathcore band, and Heroes was the heavy metalcore band. So when those other 2 bands kind of retired, we took their spots.
And as a whole, would you call that a good, bad, or neutral experience?
Experience was a phenomenal experience. Tour wise is like a band, money and all that kind of shit was fucking terrible. We made shit on that tour. We put out a lot of fucking money. We didn't make much back, but the experience was unlike anything I've ever done before. Sure. Anything. Like there was a moment on that tour which sticks with me to this day. And mind you, we did that tour in it was before Insidious, so we did that tour probably in like 2000, like late 2012, I think. I want to say it was like August of 2012, and it's was it February 2018? And I'll never forget. This was like day 7. Wouldn't be able to tell you where we were. We were on a highway somewhere. I was sitting in one of the benches, laying down, just staring out the window, and I was like, "Holy fuck! I'm not going to be home no." It was day 6. I was like, "I'm not going to be home for another 13 days, another 8 days." I was like, "I have no idea where I am. I don't fucking know where I'm going. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I want to do this fucking forever." That was the moment where I was like, "That's it, dude. I want to tour all the time." That was it. Stuck, and I'll never forget that moment or that feeling ever.
To date, if you had to guess, how many shows have you played?
Fuck. I had to guess in my entire life. I wouldn't even be able to tell you. I honestly don't even know, because I know in Kill Driver, I know Kill Driver had to play at least maybe 6 shows. It wasn't that many. We didn't really have like that long of a life. That band was weird. I think we played like maybe like 5 or 6 shows in total. We played a Hot Topic, which is interesting. I think we played there. I as a musician had played a Hot Topic, I think 3 times, 3 or 4 times. We played there once I think we played twice as Kill Driver. We played twice as Kill Driver, once in Impartial Dismemberment, and once in Wake In Providence. So 4 times I played there. But I think Kill Driver played maybe about 5 or 6 shows. Impartial, I know we played about maybe like 7 or 8. And then Wake In Providence, we've been playing since 2012. Maybe closer to like 500 or 600. I might be give or take 100 or 2. Sure. But yeah, we played a lot, man. Like I have played a lot. Like I don't really know. And then Cicada, I think only Cicada played like 1 show. But then I filled in with some friends here and there, and I know like I played like 1 or 2 shows as a fill-in for a few bands. So me as a musician, I probably played close to somewhere around like the 500 range, something like that.
How about favorite markets to play in?
Texas was fucking sick. Florida feels like home. Florida's very reminiscent of the New York scene. So I would probably say like the northeast, the east market, because I haven't gone out west yet. The furthest out west I've gone was Texas. So Texas was dope. The run that we did that ran down to Texas was phenomenal. It was so weird. Again, that we did with In Dying Arms, Convictions, and Phantoms. which those dudes became some of our best friends after that run. But yeah, we did Texas, Alabama, which I never went to before, which was awesome. But I'd probably have to say my second favorite place to play other than home would probably be Florida. Because I have to admit, Texas was sick, but there was more of a life experience that happened in Texas that made it better than that I cared more about than the shows. But yeah, I'll have to say Florida probably because I just had so many great experiences in Florida playing once.
How about favorite venues?
The Seven, which is unfortunately this is the part of the story I never got to finish. Or I didn't tell you. The Seven ended up having to close down because the city government didn't give a fuck. They mowed down that whole. It was in like a strip mall. They mowed the whole strip mall down to add an off ramp. To add a fucking off ramp. They destroyed that area to add a fucking off ramp. And to this day I have no idea what that guy did. I don't know if he was trying hard, dude, to avoid at least avoid having that get torn down. Because what happened was they tore it down. They made the off ramp, but where the Seven is just like a field now. So it was like a useless thing to tear down, but they tore it down anyway. But so yeah, I would probably have to say the Seven was one of my favorites. The Seven. There was a place in Brooklyn. What was it called? Fuck, I forgot what it was called. I don't remember what the place in Brooklyn was called. It was this place in Brooklyn that was sick. They stopped doing shows there. Favorite venue? I'll default to the Seven because I can't think of one like offhand. I'm trying hard, but I can't. Oh, actually, I'd probably have to say my favorite stage I ever played on was the Marlin Room in Webster. That was sick. The stage was fucking enormous. That was dope.
What would you consider to be the biggest rookie mistake being on tour?
This is a tough one because I'm not a very trusting person of strangers and just strange circumstances, and that's what makes that's the part of being on tour that I don't like. Is I'm that guy that if it's like, hey, can we stay at your house? And somebody says yes, I'm the guy that's like, I kind of want to sleep in the van, you know. I'm just weirded out by that. Sometimes, you know, it is what it is. But most rookie mistake on tour is probably not being prepared. And the thing about tour is unless you've done it before, you can't be prepared for it. You don't. And even when you are prepared, you still don't know what the fuck you're getting into because every single day is different, you know? Mm-hmm. Every tour has been different. Even the run that we did, how many things did we run into on a daily basis? That was fucking nuts. Dude.
Way too many, and dude, thank God you weren't on part 2.
Oh God, yeah.
It was a mess.
I kept in contact with Kev, and he told me about some stuff that was going on during that tour, during the second half of that tour.
The only thing that bummed me out is I wish that, and I don't mean any ill will towards Fallen Captive, but I wish that Filth would have been on part 1, and we could have called that tour the Bermuda Didn't Get to Play tour.
That would have been sick.
Yeah, like every single show would have been just like bonkers, dude.
Yeah, that would have been sick because that would have been real angry. That would have been a real angry ass tour. That would have been violent as fuck, dude. Now that I'm thinking about it, if Phil was on the first half, that would have been wild.
How about the most underrated tour item to have on hand?
You know what? Slippers. Reason why is how many times have you gotten out of a van and the last thing you wanted to fucking put on were your shoes?
Yeah. And it's too cold to be rolling on flip flops.
You can't just do no flip flops. Full on slippers. That would be my thing. Because also too, you can't. Sometimes it's nice enough in wherever you are where it's like you can go out with no shoes on, but you're like, I'm about to go in this fucking herpes infested gas station bathroom. I gotta put something on my feet.
Yeah,
slippers. I'm gonna go with slippers because I brought a pair. I fucked up. This was my rookie mistake on tour. My fiance, at the time she was my girlfriend, but my fiance bought me a pair for my birthday This was the biggest mistake of my fucking life, and she hates me to this day for this. One of our tours, I think it was, I want to say it was the Undying Arms tour. I brought my slippers that because the first tour we did, I didn't bring slippers, and I was like, this is terrible. I can't believe I didn't do this. Second tour, I was like, I got these dope slippers. I'm bringing my slippers. She bought me a pair of, and this is like a fucked up situation because we're a cruelty free family. This was the one thing where we were like, it's all right, I guess, but not really. She bought me a pair of leather Ugg slippers. Dude, I don't know if you ever put your foot in a pair of leather Ugg slippers before, but holy shit. It's like sticking your foot into the most ultimate of clouds on the planet. She intentionally got me the leather ones so that I could wear them outside. So my dumbass takes them on tour, right? I put them on. I kept them in a specific area because I was like, I don't want these to get fucked up. So I kept them in a specific area. I had them on. We went to like a 7-Eleven or like a Wawa, wherever we were. Got some munchies and some stuff, whatever. I ate my snack, chilling. I took a nap. Woke up in another state. And I looked down. And I'm like, where's my slipper? Where the fuck am I? I only got my left slipper. What the fuck? I was like, whatever. I'll check later. Go back to sleep. Woke up again. And I'm like, now I gotta pee. What did I just say? Can't go out in your bare feet because you're going to some gross ass fucking bathroom. I was like, I got my slippers. Fucking put on my left one. I'm looking under here, looking under there. I'm like, where the fuck is my other goddamn slipper? And I'm like, yo, did you see my fucking slipper? He was like, nah, I didn't see it. I'm like, where is it? Where the fuck is my slipper? And I'm like, at this point, I'm starting to freak out because I'm like, in my head, I'm not even freaking out because I don't have my slippers. I'm freaking out because I'm like, shit, my fucking girl bought me these slippers, dude. And they were not cheap. These were a birthday present, and they were not cheap. And I was like, fuck, I can't find this slipper. And in my head, I'm like, this is bad because she's going to kill me. So I'm like looking like online, like how much these slippers cost. And I was like, fuck, these things are expensive. I was like, I can't even like go to some random store and like finagle it and buy a pair and pretend it didn't happen because they're fucking bread. And I'm like, oh shit, dude, this is fucking bad. Like I'm like losing my shit. Then when it sat in that it was gone, that's when I got angry. And then, so the theory is, because no one knows how it happened, the current theory is someone opened the doors, and when they got out, kicked it, didn't realize it fell out, and it got left in some fucking random state.
That is the fear for every goddamn tour.
That is the current theory. Because how many gas stations do we stop at? Hundreds. So it's not like we could be like, oh shit, it's about 267 miles back that way at the 8th gas station we've gone to. Like, you know, like, we can't do that. So, dude, that was my rookie mistake, and that's why. And then everything after that, I bought a pair of flip flops because I intentionally bought those slippers so that I wouldn't have to deal with that, and fucking lost it, and now I don't have the slippers. So that's my rookie mistake. Don't bring sentimental value things on tour. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, don't do that. Terrible idea.
All right, so the staple question this year for the show is Warped Tour. Kevin Lyman says that the tour is done after this year because of an aging demographic and low turnouts. Which makes sense. You think about a lot of the people who were really huge on Warped Tour when it started I'm pretty sure me and you are in the same age group. That was when we were all like fucking 14, 15, 16 years old. So like that was the thing. And plus at the time, honestly, I don't give a fuck what nobody says. When we were like 2005, 2006 was like one of the best eras of music ever. Because you had so many sick ass bands that were just unstoppable back then. Like now they're all right, they're still around, but back then that's when their albums were at their peak. And they were that's when like metalcore and like deathcore were like new. So like that's when it was just like, holy shit, who is Suicide Silence? What the hell is The Cleansing? What is this shit? Like, you know, like you can't top that ever again. So like I feel like that's the other problem too. Like now this generation has their era, those like their version of those era bands, but they'll never be like that. So with Warped Tour coming to an end, and the aging demographic and the low turnouts, Do you think that's a sign of things to come for bands in the lower and middle class markets?
Nah, no, because the thing, the thing is, you still have things like Mayhem's done, right? Is Mayhem done?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
Mayhem's done. So I'm thinking of Summer Slaughter. Still got things like Summer Slaughter, that may be the only festival left, because All Stars Tour happens like once every never. Mayhem's done, which sucks, but Summer Slaughter is still like going strong, even though that's primarily for like more extreme bands. That's still a big thing. Plus, at the same time, the festival, multiple stage festival thing has been such a dying breed for a long time. In my personal opinion, at least, because you're at risk of fucking all kinds of fucked up shit when you go to those things. Whether it be, I know it's like the big thing right now, which is it's a good that it's finally becoming a big thing. Sexual assault, like that's a huge fucking problem at those things. Fucking health risks of being out in a fucking 180-degree weather where water is 19 fucking bucks a bottle. You spent all your money on the goddamn ticket to get there. You think these people are gonna have the money to fucking buy a $20 bottle of water? Like, come on now. Like that's a risk. Like, so that's my thing is that's something that over time was going to fail, as it was. Both because bands who are playing those things, either they're like the shit and they're on the other side while you're watching your friend's band because they just so happen to win some battle of bands that got them there. So it's my own opinion about those is that it's not going to cause a problem. It's not going to end anything because the larger bands are still doing tours. They're still going to come to your city. You're still going to get the chance to see them. The smaller bands who win the battle of bands to play that, or the smaller bands who are playing on the Jim John stage, like those guys are still going to play local shows. Those guys are still going to do tours. Like that's not something that's going to end because Warped Tour is going away. But I've never been a Warped Tour kid. I was never a Warped Tour kid. I've never gone to Warped Tour. I never had the want to go. I would look at a lineup and be like, all right, that's cool. I was never like, yo, oh God, I gotta go. But even my friends who do go, some of them is just like, oh, I went to Warped Tour last year, it was whack. Oh, I went to Warped Tour this year, it was all right. No, I went to Warped Tour. Like it's not something that seemed. It didn't seem like it was something that people really cared too much about. Even though it was bustling, still, even with a low turnout, it's still like something that was still good to those bands and to the people who went. It was still not something that I could say would make or break the music scene of wherever it went to. So if it stops tomorrow, or if it stops this year, which is I'm sure that's what they're saying, right? They're saying this is the last one. I don't think this is going to cause a problem. Mayhem stopped. That didn't end the world. All Stars Tour stopped a bunch of years ago. That didn't end anything. Those bands who we played one of the All Stars dates, and it was amazing. It sucked because we had to drive all the way to Illinois in a fucking Tahoe, but we played it. It was dope. All the bands that we played with on that date still going tour now. Sworn In, fucking Casey Stream, Betraying the Martyrs, Slaves. All those bands are still doing tours. They're still playing. Those kids are still going to get to see those people. So to me personally, there's no loss. A festival going away is not the end of an avenue of music. When it comes to live music, you have so many possibilities. So I personally feel like it's not going to change anything.
Now time for some of the worst moments in your career. Any horror stories from the stage?
I think it was the Convictions tour. I think it was the second half of the tour with Dying Arms and Convictions and stuff. We played some like really weird place, but like right before, like a couple of hours actually, not even right before, like a lot of hours before we played, we stopped at Chipotle and got food. This is when I ate meat. So like I was on the verge of not eating meat anymore because I was just getting weirded out by like eating meat just out because I have like a problem eating food outside my house. So like I said, I'm not a trusting person at all. So to trust somebody with my food is probably to me one of the biggest instances of trust. So we went to Chipotle and I just felt funny after I ate it. I didn't feel sick. I just felt weird. And then like we got on stage and just this it was just like a weird day. It was like a really odd, stressful day. And my anxiety was kind of getting to me. So I was on stage, literally our backs turned to the crowd. Our sample was going, and our drummer looks at me, like we all look at each other, like, all right, we're doing this. And that first hi-hat hit right before everything started, I got an instant fucking anxiety attack. Anxiety attack. And I couldn't turn around. Like the whole set. I just forced myself to play through it. And I just like, I turned around and I was like, just do it. It'll be over. After every song, I just turn around like shaking and like just taking sips of water. Play the song. Shake, like physically fucking shaking. And then finally it was over and I was like sick. And I just stopped playing and I just sat outside to call my fiance and I just was talking to her for a while. And that was probably one of the worst moments on stage ever. Just full on anxiety attack on stage. For no reason. Like, it wasn't even like I got nervous or anything, because I've played so many shows in my life, it wasn't even that. It was just full-on anxiety attack.
Huh.
I would say that was probably the worst moment on stage, for sure.
How about worst promoter or overall show situation?
Same. No, we drove down to Florida for one show. Promoter dicked us over paying us. He left. Didn't pay us. Mind you, we drove all the way from New York for one show. Didn't pay us. He completely disappeared. And we had to track him down. We spoke to one of the dudes who was at the show, really cool guy. He got in contact with the promoter and was like, yo, you fucking forgot to pay this band. You need to get your ass. You need to do one of two things. Either you need to come out here and pay them, or they're coming to you and they're going to get their money from you. You need to figure that out now. Like, this dude was on it. At first nobody could find the kid and nobody could get in contact with him. So finally, they found him, got in contact with him, and he was like, "Oh shit, my bad, dude. I completely forgot, whatever." So we drove out to him, and he paid us and gave us money for us driving out there. So that was probably, I would have to say, the worst situation. He wasn't a bad promoter. That was just the worst situation that we dealt with a promoter.
Gotcha.
In regards to that, without naming names, we dealt with some shitty promoters, I'm sure, which we all have dealt with before in the past. Dealt with shitty booking agents and just all that shit. Dealt with some amazing ones, which was great. One kid from 1,000 years ago, wouldn't be able to remember this kid's name for my life. His dad owned a gas station. We played a show in a gas station, probably the weirdest place we ever played. His dad owned the gas station. It was a storefront that they never opened. We played at that storefront. At the end of the show, the promoter, which was just a kid, he wasn't like some fucking grown man. He was just a kid. He went to Wendy's and bought us like a fuck ton of food. And then since his dad owned the gas station, he filled up our tank and Hero's tank completely free of charge, and paid us.
Jeez.
Yeah, you want to talk about took care of us like a motherfucker? That kid paid us, fed us, and put gas in our fucking vans.
That rules.
Yeah, that was probably the best promoter we ever dealt with.
Lastly, how about the most random thing to happen at a show or on tour?
Most random thing that ever happened on tour. I think it was the Illinois run, I think, or when we were doing that All Stars thing. Don't know where I was. Wouldn't be able to tell you. We were on like some real desolate highway. It was like, or like three. I don't know what the difference is. It was like a long strip that had lights every now and then, like every 4 miles there was a light. We're at one of the lights. It was us, one other car, and then out of fucking nowhere, another car shows up next to that car. We pull up, like we're on. So there's two cars here. We came off the exit, so we're this way. So the two cars are going straight. We're going that way. We're at the light. There's a light here. Their light was about to turn green. This fucking truck, I don't know, like a box truck looking thing, just careens down this fucking highway, knocks completely between the two cars, shoots one car off completely to the right. The other car shot forward to the left, hit like the medium. The truck stopped, waited a second, and just darts off. What makes it weirder, it makes it random, is the car that got shot to the right. The driver hopped out of that car, went to the car that got shot off to the left, spoke to them, hopped in their car. They don't know each other, by the way. hopped in their car, and drove off to find that truck. He left his car running with the door open and no one in it. We're sitting there flabbergasted. That's the only word I could use. And then like maybe 10 minutes later, the car comes back, and then the guy gets out, and then some other car pulls up, and the guy who got out of his car and jumped into the other car, he's going back in his car. Some random car pulls up, some girl gets out, gets in his car. They're talking. Then the other car, the car that brought the random girl, a dude gets out of that car, goes into the other person's car that they didn't know, and they go and try to find the guy again. And that's it. And we were just like, yo, what the... And we sat there the whole time. Whole fucking time. Cops never showed up. No one ever called the cops. It was just like... That was probably the weirdest thing I think that ever happened. Because it just seemed fake. It seemed fake.
Yeah, it's almost like some Breaking Bad shit or
Dude,
something.
It was fucking nuts. Nuts. Because the thing is, just both cars was just stuck. This dude's truck was stuck in smoking. And it's like, he was like, oh, fuck, what the fuck? And he said, fuck it, and drove off. And then when the dude got out of his car and got into some random person's car, I was like, yo, what the fuck is happening? And then he came back, and then, like, there's this person shift of these other people, and then they drove off, and we're just sitting there like, yo, what the fuck is going on? And then at the time, our drummer at the time was Phil, and he got out of our car and went to go speak to the girl who was in the car that showed up, trying to figure out what's going on. And he's just making friends with this bitch, and he comes back, and he's like, yeah, she said that we can go back to her crib. And we're like, no, dude, no. Get in the truck. We're leaving. He's like, we're fucking out. That was the weirdest thing ever.
All right, so I'm curious to hear what advice you have for a few groups of people. And for starters, how about local bands?
Don't suck. just don't,
Case closed.
Just don't suck. Take a little bit longer. Take longer than you might want to really hone in on what you're doing. Really pay attention and hone in on the music that you're writing. Really, really take pride in your gear. Don't get hung up on people judging you based on your stage presence. Go on stage and fucking have fun. Don't stand still because you think people are judging you. Don't move like a weirdo because you think that's what you're supposed to do. Just feel it. Vibe on it. Have a good time on stage. Because I can't stand going to a local show and just watching the bands. I'll either just standing there awkwardly staring at the crowd weird, or like not moving enough. Like if you're up there playing fucking tech death, I don't expect you to move that much. But if you're up there playing like 6 power chords, I expect you to do something. You know,
right?
You don't have to be the chariot on stage, but just fuck people. Don't give a shit about what people think about you moving around. You know, but just do it. You know, me and you are very, very similar on stage. I watched you every night of that tour. You don't give a shit. You just, whatever you feel, you're doing it.
Exactly.
And that's what it is, dude. And I'm the same way. I can give 2 fucks about what somebody thinks about the way I just moved. I don't care. It's all about what I'm vibing on, and that's it. And I love that. That's why I love watching you guys. I loved watching you guys because you and JT didn't give a shit. And that was it. It was like, I'm going to play, have a good fucking time. If I miss some notes, I miss some notes. Whatever. You guys know what the record sounds like. I'm just playing to have fun. You guys are having fun with me. Who gives a fuck? You know? So like exactly. That's I'm all about that. So that's one thing. Practice, hone your craft, make sure your gear is listenable. Doesn't have to be great, just listenable. And that's really probably my main thing with local bands.
How about promoters?
You don't got to be the best promoter. You don't have to be the dude from Florida fucking filling up our tank, buying us food, and paying us. You don't got to be that guy. Just do what you said you're going to do. That's it. That's all you got to do. Do what you said you're going to do. I never go to a show and expect a promoter to, like I said, fucking buy me food. And I've never played a show in my entire life and had a rock star mentality of the promoter better give us our own fucking space, and I want a case of water for me, and I want that. No, dude. Hey, nice to meet you. This is the deal. Here, this is how much I'm paying you. This is what we agreed on. Let's have a good time.
Exactly.
That's all I want. That's all I fucking want. You don't gotta treat me like a fucking king. I don't care, dude. Just whatever you said, whatever we agreed upon, that's it. Do the bare minimum of your job. And stay the whole fucking show. And I'll go a step further. fucking show up.
Yep.
Come on. That trips me. Promoters who don't show? Are you kidding me?
Yep. Unless they're an actual like production company and they have someone.
Agent, you got it. That's fine. That's cool.
Yeah.
You don't got to be there. If you're a promoter for a local venue and you book there normally and you're local to that venue, fucking show up.
Right.
Show up, dude. You booked the venue. You booked the show there. Show up.
Finally, bands hitting the road for the first time.
Same. So, C number 1. Just same thing. Be prepared for the unpreparable, because there's no such you'll never know what's gonna happen on tour, man. Being on the road, you will never, ever, ever know what's gonna happen, because it's a beast in and of itself. That no matter what trips me out to this day, and you as a tour musician, you know this, and any other tour musician who's listening knows. Even when you're on tour, and today is Monday, you're even 16 days, 15 days, 56 days, however many days in, you're still not even properly prepared for day number 57. Because you never fucking know. And I feel like that's the allure of it. It's not meeting the girls. It's not fucking smoking the drugs and drinking the booze. And it's not that. It's not even about the show sometimes. Sometimes one of my biggest things about touring, and I tell this to everybody I speak to whenever they ask about like what it's like to be in a touring band. I say it's one of the hardest things to do, because at first everything's awkward as shit, especially if you're touring with a band you never met. It's weird.
Right.
And then you become friends, and then you have to go home without those people. That to me is one of the worst things about being on tour. You're on tour with these people, you become really good friends, and then you kind of leave, and that's the part that sucks. That to me is like, that's the hardest part. That's definitely it. Because I look forward to the Walmart hangout after the show in some other state more than the show. Don't get me wrong, I love being on stage. I love that part. I love connecting with the fans. But then when me and you just hung out at that one venue, we were just talking about fucking Glass Cloud and Josh Travis for hours, like just guitar shit forever, like that shit. That to me is the most important parts of those tours, or just being on tour in general, is getting to know the people that you're spending that time with.
All right, so before we go, let's do a quick plug for Wake In Providence. Where can people find you guys?
Facebook, YouTube, fucking Apple Music, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, what else?
Every other place that people don't buy music.
Fucking Tidal, which I fucking forgot. I forgot that's the thing. There's also another weird one that we're on. I don't remember what it's called. I think Tidal is Jay-Z's thing. Yeah, so Tidal and a fucking bunch of myriad of other fucking listening services. Instagram, Twitter. You can also, you'll get news about us on the Outer Loop group, their Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter and stuff. And I believe they also have a Spotify playlist. I no longer have Spotify, so I wouldn't even be able to check right now. But I'm pretty sure we're on one of their Spotify playlists. And I think if it still exists and if it hasn't been updated, which it probably has, the deathcore playlist on Spotify we were on for a while, and another Metal Essentials or something. I forgot what it was called. We were on another Spotify playlist for a while. If you Google Wake In Providence, you'll find a bunch of interviews recently about a bunch of stuff. Outer Loop Group, Outer Loop Records, Outer Loop Management, all that stuff. Merchnow.com. All In merch as well, but all in merch that's through Outer Loop. So you would find us on the Outer Loop All In merch page. And I think that's it.
DeAndre, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Best of luck with Wake In Providence stuff this year, and hopefully we'll be chatting again soon.
Cool show.
That concludes this episode. I'd like to thank DeAndre for coming on the show. Check out Wake In Providence on social media. Also, don't forget to write in on this week's call to action, the final Warped Tour lineup. I've been your host, Noah Sias, and as always, thank you for listening.